always tell people that, and this started from Alex, I always tell people that for someone who's lived in Italy, who's lived in Brazil, who's on the first Congressional Black Caucus staff, who's been in the higher echelon senior management team at Chase Van Hand Bank, and on and on and on. I always tell people that nothing intimidated me because everybody that I ever met in life, true story, in life, I'd already met those people by the time I'd finished the 7th grade at Alex. Every personality, every smarts, everything that you could imagine, that you could see in a human being, I met it. Green, purple, yellow, I'd already seen them. And that just became more and more a part of me through my 4 years at Worthing. Dear Worthing High, we shall ever love and honor you. Your wings so high, reaching forth unto the sky. I graduated in 1967 from the greatest class that ever graduated from Worthing High School. It was a class that included a number of notable folks that went on to do well in life, but were basically really good people. Great class to grow up with, great class to go to high school. Oh, and by the way, and we still meet to this day. Our biggest high school rival, well, at that time, there was first Yates and Wheatley, and they were the big, and then the rest of us kind of orbited that. The closest school to us was Jack Yates, and so they were our biggest rival. Question is, who won the last game? Quite honestly, we won the last game, but to this day, we maintain that the refs had a bias because Jack Yates then was the black bourgeois high school, and so that's where all the doctor starters went and everything, and they got the calls. We won the game though, and had better athletes.
But they were on record as the winner.
Technically. So my prom date actually ended up being from Jack Yates because my girlfriend from Worthing at the time, we had broken up, and she was dating and went to the prom with a guy, Barry Hall, who was a musician at the time, and ended up being an internationally renowned musician. My favorite, I didn't have a particularly favorite class. My extracurricular activity that I really liked was debate. And there I had wonderful teachers, Maxie Thomas, and coming from Alex, I had the wonderful, legendary Pearl Sewell. They were excellent. We ended up being state champ. Me and Candace Ray ended up being state champion debaters. And when integration came, we were like the highlight of the African-American debate community. My favorite teachers, I would have to say, were Ms. Gilmore, our homeroom teacher, who still to this day we hang out with, and the late Coach Oliver Brown, who was not just a track coach, but a great teacher, who was an advisor, who suggested that he had enough people running track, although I love track, and go on and deal with the debate. Those were probably, in case my cousins are looking at this, my Aunt Betty, who was teaching there for a while, was my favorite teacher. That's Betty Johnson.
Betty Johnson, Miss Johnson.
Who taught English.
Okay.
During that time, of course, there were the riots in Detroit and all of these cities that were going on, and the Vietnam War. 67 and 68 were probably dominated by those stories and our concern about what our future would be given the riots and given Vietnam. Closer to home, in Sunnyside, our big issue for years continued to be the dump. The dump was a place that the rest of the city, you could come and just throw. There were piles of stuff there and mountains of it, and they put it in our neighborhood. And that remained an irritant until I think recently it was resolved. Favorite was the Chocolate Bayou Theater. We had drive-in theater and the Chocolate Bayou Theater, and you could drive up, and they had great malts. I'm addicted to malts ever since. I switched to vanilla malts, but then I was doing chocolate malts. It was Chocolate Bayou.